Hello and welcome to the ISL STEM Glossary. My name is Dr. Elizabeth Matthews and I am the project lead. This video is to celebrate the launch of our biology glossary. We have 236 new signs. It's fantastic. The aim of our project is for those of you, when you're studying science, technology, engineering or maths, and you might see an English word that doesn't have an equivalent sign in Irish Sign Language yet. So our team come together and they brainstorm and come up with new ideas to propose new signs that could be an equivalent in Irish Sign Language to the English term. Our funding is from SFI, Science Foundation Ireland. So the plan for our project over the next year is that we hope to expand and add 2 new subjects. These are physics and chemistry. Not only that, but we're also going to go back and expand on subjects we've already done, like biology, maths and geography. We're hoping to see this expansion in the glossary. We're also planning to have a few science events over the next year. They're going to happen throughout the year. So this video later on, we're going to see how to create your own zine. It's going to be a workshop that's run by Hana Ayoob. But first of all, we're going to see a welcome from Professor Aoife McLysett. And she's going to talk about her work in genetics.
Hello, my name is Aoife McLysett and I'm a geneticist here in Trinity College Dublin. So what it means to do genetics is to try to understand heredity, to try to understand how our genes make us what we are, and in particular the aspect of that I am interested in is looking at evolutionary genetics, so looking at this process over time and really harnessing the information from evolution to understand our genes and how they work. And this is something that I really enjoy. I think I am very lucky and privileged to be able to do a job which is essentially, a large part of it is figuring things out and solving puzzles and identifying interesting puzzles, but also of course in the university teaching as well, and I really enjoy that aspect too. And for me, I think one of the most satisfying and interesting things about being a scientist is that you have this connection with the natural world, and as a geneticist that connection is really with all of biology, because genetics really is the language of biology. It is the common thread that runs through all life, and by looking at things from a genetics point of view, you're really understanding the fundamentals. You're trying to understand how is it that genes work, how does the information get transmitted from generation to generation, and how has this happened over millions and millions of years? What have been the important events that have made us the way we are? And how can we harness that understanding to also have insights into more, let's say, current modern concerns to do with, say, genetic factors that might influence disease or contribute to suffering. And so we can understand these things through studying animals and plants and evolution, but also through studying humans. And so I think it's a really powerful thing, and I suppose we see huge relevance in the modern world. So one thing we've all been aware of in the last year, of course, has been the coronavirus pandemic, and one of the things that happened very early on in that, in terms of the science, was the sequencing of the genome of that virus, and that allowed us to place it in the context of previously known viruses, but it also allowed us to monitor it as it spread globally and to look at the mutations and the evolutionary patterns, to recognize when there was a new variant that was really very successful in an evolutionary sense and spreading too much, and that allowed us to potentially react promptly to contain it. So there's that ultra modern relevance of the looking at things and tracking them from the genetics and evolutionary genetics point of view. But also I think the connection that thinking about things from a genetics point of view gives us in terms of seeing our connection with the rest of the world. I find that very poignant in the context of climate change and how this is a challenge that we all face together, and how we need to recognise the interconnectedness of all of the things on this planet, all life on this planet, and then also, of course, the climate. And so overall, I'd say I find working in science hugely satisfying. I enjoy being able to understand things. I enjoy both learning about things that are already known and the opportunity to make my own discoveries and to contribute to the body of knowledge. And so I've been very lucky. I've been able to do in my life something I really enjoy, and I hope whatever it is anybody enjoys, they manage to find that for themselves.
Hello, my name is Valerie Mahan and I work at Dublin City University DCU. My role here is the project coordinator. So I'm involved in booking rooms, project management, booking interpreters, and for any events that might come up for the team, like conferences or lectures, or even, anything to do with museums or anything like that. I'm involved in doing that. I also do a bit of research. I will look at school curriculums and collect various terms for the science subjects, and I will have a look through the terms and check our glossary and check with the team to see if any of those terms have signs already or don't have any established signs. If there are no established signs, well, then the team all works together to try to create new signs. And of course, when they create new signs, they check with the deaf community as well to ask, what their signs might be for specific terms. I also work with an artist, and the artist's name is Barry Quinn. Barry is an illustrator. Barry works with the team in creating art that's connected to biology and connected to the terms that we have on the biology glossary. He's been working with us through the years. You can check out Barry's art on the website www.dcu.ie/ISL STEM. So, for example, some biology terms might be terms that we may not understand. And so we combine both the art and the science together. Having the art and the science together helps you to visualize conceptually the meaning of the terms and understand them better. So up next, we have Art and Science Workshop. This workshop is going to be run by a person called Hana Ayoob. Hana is a biologist and an artist. Hana will be showing you how to make your very own zine. So she's going to show us how to create one. First of all, you need an A4 sheet of paper, a scissors, art materials, so for drawing, for writing, and for colouring. You can pause the video at any time, if you wanted to go back or if you want to check a biology glossary for a term. And you can pick your own term out of the glossary. And you can include that term then in your zine. Most importantly though, make sure you enjoy yourself and have fun.
Hi everyone and welcome to this zine making workshop. I'm Hana Ayoob. I am a biologist and an artist. Today we're going to be making our own little zines, which are leaflets like this. I have a few pages inside of them that you can fill with drawings or writing. And we're going to use these zines to explore some of our favourite new terms from the glossary. Now, before we start, you should make sure that you all have a sheet of paper, ideally an A4 sheet, a pair of scissors, although that can be shared between a few different people if need be, and a pen or pencil. So those are the essentials, but you can also use any other art and craft materials that you might have handy. Now, before we get round to making the zine, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about why I love working at the overlap between science and art, and why I love visualising science and using pictures to explore science so much. Now, I've always loved both art and science, but when I was at school, both primary school and secondary school, up until the age of 18, for me, art and science were always quite separate things. I loved biology, I loved finding out about animals, and I loved drawing and I loved crafting, but they were two different parts of me. And quite often teachers and others would tell me that those were two different, separate things. But when I got to university and I was studying biology, I realised that they were actually far more connected than I thought. And as I sort of struggled to take in a lot of the science that I was learning at university, it was drawing and it was crafting that helped me to learn these things. And so I used to draw all my notes, everything that I was learning. I still remember in my first year of university, I created this massive drawing of a human body, and I filled that with all of my notes about human biology from the first year. I used to draw comic strips, I'd doodle in the margins of my notes, and I still remember one particular day when I was revising how animals walk, and I just could not get my head around it. So I ended up making myself a cat and a beetle out of clay, out of plasticine, and was just walking these creatures around the desk to try and learn how they worked, how they moved. Now, even as I went through university and these things became really important to me and I loved using drawing and science together, people still thought I was a bit odd. It was still something that was considered quite different to how everyone else worked. But as I've got older, I've realised that I'm not alone, and the importance of drawing and visualisation in all the sciences, but especially biology, is something that has been true throughout history and is still true today. So I wanted to talk to you a little bit about some of the important people throughout history who have used drawing and science together. So this drawing of a horse is by Leonardo da Vinci, that some of you might have heard. His Mona Lisa painting is one of the most famous paintings in the world. But these sketches that Da Vinci did of horses were preparation for creating a giant sculpture of horses. And before he made the sculpture, Da Vinci wanted to understand the anatomy of horses, to understand how they moved, to understand their muscle structure, and so he created loads of drawings to help him do this. Da Vinci is also famous for lots of other anatomical studies and drawings, including of a particularly important one of a bear claw, because he was trying to understand whether bears walked in a similar way to humans, which is sort of similar to what I was saying earlier about the clay figurines that I created. Maria Sibylla Merian is another amazing artist and botanist, someone who studied plants, and Merian travelled all over the world drawing animals and drawing plants, and she's considered one of the founders of entomology, the study of insects, because she was one of the first people who would draw every stage of the insect life cycle, so right from caterpillars to butterflies, for example. And she would also draw these creatures eating and behaving in different ways, which helped everyone's understanding of them improve. Another one of my favourite biologists and artists is Beatrix Potter, who is best known for her children's books, including Peter Rabbit. But Beatrix Potter also drew lots and lots of drawings of plants and animals and fungi, which is the group of living things that includes mushrooms. And her drawings of mushrooms were so accurate that people still refer to them today to help them identify different species of mushroom. As I mentioned, even today, now that we have photography and don't have to draw everything, drawing is still really important in lots of different areas of science. So medical illustration, drawing the human body, is really important so that people can actually map things. They know where things are going to be in the body. And so that means that surgeons and other doctors, nurses, people who are studying different diseases can picture the human body. They know where different things are going to be, and it's a lot messier than a photograph might be. Drawing things that they're researching is also an important part of how scientists can actually process what they're looking at. So if they took 1,000 photographs, they'd then have to look through every single photo. But by drawing what they might be looking at down a microscope or a plant that they found out in the field, that means that they can actually process what they're seeing at the same time, which is a really important part of science. One of my favourite ways for how drawing is used in modern biology is in paleo art, which is art that depicts species that are extinct, such as dinosaurs. And paleo art is a really important part of how we even think about dinosaurs and other extinct creatures, and it can really shape the way we see them. So, for example, we now know that loads of dinosaurs probably had feathers on them, but because we've seen so many drawings and paintings and other artwork of of dinosaurs that look more like lizards, that's often how we tend to see them. So I think being able to express yourself visually when talking and writing about science is really important. And that's why today we are going to explore our own visualizations of science through some zine making. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about what zines are to start with. So as I mentioned earlier, zines are little sort of leaflets, sort of smaller versions of magazines, and people have used them for a very long time as a way to share information that they can easily copy, and they're usually copied in quite small numbers. So whereas a magazine might go out in thousands of copies, zines are more likely to be copied in the tens or in the hundreds. These are a few of my favourite zines today. So we have got a few different sizes. We've got this A5 zine here that's all about biological pigments, so colour that comes from animals or plants. It's sort of big, bold, colourful. It's a mixture of drawing and writing. We go a bit smaller, we've got this A6 zine about owls that's got these beautiful paintings of owls inside it, with their names alongside the paintings. And finally, we've got this tiny little zine on bunny behaviour, and this is similar to the zine that we're going to be making today, and it's made from a single sheet of paper, and then inside you've got 6 pages that you can decorate and write on in different ways. So today we're going to use zines as a way to explore some of our favourite terms from the new glossary. So there's lots of different ways that you could do this. This is a zine by Barry Quinn, who's an illustrator who's working on the project. And Barry's sort of done a couple of pages about the project. Then he's done a page with a sort of term on each, and then a couple of more terms here. I've created a few zines of my own. So we've got this one, which says Picturing Science on the front cover. Try and get the camera to actually pick that up a bit more. And I've sort of drawn some of my favourite signs from the glossary. I'm not as good as Barry at drawing hands, and it's absolutely fine if you aren't too. So we've got a few different drawings in there. And finally, in this one, I've just picked out some of my favourite terms. So it says some important things on the outside. It's a bit shiny. And inside, I've cut out different things from magazines and stuck them in. And these are things that mean something important to me. So the camera's not picking it up, but it says immune system there. And I've gone for someone holding a set of scales because my immune system tends to overreact. I have some really awful allergies. And so when I think of the immune system, I think of something that needs to be balanced and needs, in order for it to be working properly. You've got some lungs because I'm asthmatic. I've sort of done inhalation and exhalation because again, it's sort of related to the asthma. So the important thing is that you create the way that you want to create today. So you might pick 6 different terms and you might want to actually draw the signs, or you might want to pick a few terms and write or draw or collage about what they mean to you. Or you might want to do something completely different. As long as it's related to the glossary, that is absolutely fine. So we're now going to actually make our zine, and I'm going to talk you how to make one. So you need that sheet of paper, and you will eventually need a pair of scissors as well. So if you've got your sheet of paper in front of you, the first thing I want you to do is to fold it in half. So going up to the top like that. And then we're going to fold that back on itself just to make sure it's a really good fold. And I will do this twice, so don't worry if you don't catch it the first time. Then we are going to fold upwards that way. And back on itself again. So you should now have a piece of paper that has been folded halfway that way and halfway this way. Fortunately, my camera is so good at making things look sort of really pure white that it's sort of got rid of all the folds. But we're then going to fold into the middle like that. So you sort of got your page and fold into the middle again from the other side. So you've sort of got 2 flaps on either side, then fold that over and fold those 2 bits into the middle as well. So you should now have a piece of paper, and you don't need to do this, but I'm going to draw the folds roughly on just so you can see where they should be. So you should have a fold across the middle, fold down that bit and down that bit. They should definitely be neater than my lines, but don't worry too much about them being super neat. Okay, now that you've got your piece of paper that should have been folded into 8 equal sections, we are going to cut along this bit in the middle. Again, you don't need to draw this line. I'm just making it super obvious for you. And the best way for us to cut along this line is to fold your piece of paper in half and then cut along it like so. Not all the way, just to that point. And what should happen is that you have a piece of paper with a hole in the middle. And once you've got that hole, you're going to fold your piece of paper lengthways and then push inwards So the hole opens outwards like that, so it's in the middle, and push all the way in, so you end up with a cross shape. And then if you flatten that like so, smooth it out a bit, and then fold it over, and you have yourself a little zine that will have 6 pages in it. So 3 spreads of 6 pages. Now, I'm going to do that again, but if you caught that the first time, if you've got your zine and it's ready to go, you can start thinking about what terms you would like to choose to go into your zine. You might choose what you want to put on the front or the back cover. And you might also start thinking about whether you're going to draw or write or collage in your zine. Okay, so I'm going to demonstrate that a second time. You've got your piece of paper. I want you to fold it in half, so across, and open it up and fold it back on itself again. Then we're going to fold in half the other way, like this. And fold that fold back on itself. Then we're going to fold from the outside into that middle crease, like this, and the other way. And then we're going to do the same at the other side. So at this point, you should have your piece of paper folded into 8 equal sections. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then we are going to cut along this middle section. So I'm just putting that in so you can see it. You do not need to draw that line on. So we're going to fold this in half like that. Cut along the line from there to there, so it's on the folded side, not the open sort of flappy side. Then if you open your paper flat, fold it in half lengthways, and then hold it up, and if you push the 2 sides inwards, you end up with this opening again. And if you push that completely flat, you get a sort of cross shape, and then we can flatten that down, fold it over, and you have your zine to decorate. So for about the next 20 minutes, it's just time for us to sit and create something together. So you can draw, you can collage, you can write inside your little zines, and I'll be here on the screen doing the same thing. So pick out your favorite glossary terms and explore them inside your zine, and I will see you again in 20 minutes. Hi everyone, I hope that you have had a great half hour making something. I don't expect you to have completed all or even most of your zine at this point. I just hope that you've had fun starting on something. I made myself a little COVID-19 glossary because that's something I've been thinking about a lot recently, and the terms that I picked out were virus, coronavirus, symptom, infection, epidemic and pandemic, and I did a few sort of little drawings inside, so you can see there's a globe there. We've got someone sneezing and someone with a headache, and then of course we've got a little coronavirus on that page. So now that we are almost at the end of the workshop, I wanted to show you a little secret that is in some of the zines. So if I open this out flat, there is a hidden inside page that you could make something on. So you could just sort of write down some of your reflections, how you feel about the launch, the glossary, the zine that you've created, or you could do a picture. So inside Barry's zine, he has done a diagram of the human body, and inside one of the zines I showed you earlier by Lindsay Green, she has also done this picture of bunny rabbits in there. So it's a nice sort of little inside page where you can create something a little bit more. Now, the other thing I wanted to show you, which is lovely about these zines, is that because they're made from a single sheet of paper, if you unfold them, they become quite easy to copy. So you can fold them flat and you can scan or photocopy the two sides, and you can then print them out to share with your friends or family or other classmates. If you don't have access to a scanner or a photocopier, you can also take photos of the two sides. You can get quite good photos on a normal phone these days. Just sort of make sure that your phone is sort of held steady and parallel above what you're taking a photo of. And also try and make sure that you've got good lighting. So natural light is great, but not direct sunlight. So for example, it can work quite well if you have a window sort of next to you. So that is an easy way that you can copy and share your zines with each other. So I hope that you've had fun in today's workshop and that you've created something that you can keep and maybe share with others, and I also hope that you enjoy the rest of today's launch. Thank you so much for joining me today, everyone. I've been Hana Ayoob. Have a great day. Bye.
Hello again. I hope you all really enjoyed that workshop, making and creating your own zine. I can see from all the different people in the videos that look great. I want to say thank you for everyone for being involved. If you want to share your drawings, please use hashtag on Twitter. You can use hashtag ISL STEM, and that way then we can see all of your drawings. Finally, we want to say a big thank you to the project team for all of your hard work throughout the year, creating and making 236 new signs for the glossary. Thank you so much. And thank you as well to SFI for your funding and continued support for this project. If you'd like to know more information about the Glossary project, you can have a look at www.dcu.ie/ISL STEM. Thank you. Bye.